ready to fire up their questions, and it can be in Indonesian and English. I'm going to mix. Jadi boleh bahasa Indonesia teman-teman dan Bapak Ibu sekalian. Saya akan bantu translate dan kita akan mulai dari 3 penanya pertama. The specific support for international students, you've explained a lot, and one of the biggest challenge sometimes to like the adaptation processes. If your background, you said for students can come from many different like background for their undergrad, for when they want to transition to business, but is there any specific support or mechanism student or prospective students should pay attention to? For example, someone with engineering background and starting accounting or business management, is there any specific support from the school or something that students should like be aware of? Thank you.
Yeah, so we are open to all majors. Like all the programs are open to all majors. However, we might want to see like, hey, although you're from engineering, you're interested in finance or accounting, what have you done to learn about the basic knowledge about accounting or finance? You can definitely leverage our one-on-one conversation with our admission advisors and saying like, hey, right now it's early. Right now it's August, right? If you want to switch your major, if you want to pursue a different route, what can you do? We recommend that if you're still in school, you can take some electives in those areas, right? 1 or 2 courses are good enough to showcase that you're interested, you made some effort. If you're working professional, there are a lot of online courses that you can do to really, learn about the foundation. For example, you are from a business analytics major, right? You know that a lot of students in your class were not from like math or statistics or computer science major. Why were they get admitted, right? They some of them didn't even take statistics courses in their undergrad. However, they made some effort to do self-learning, right? They showcase those kind of efforts in their application. That's valid as well. Because, for example, data analytics or business analytics, some of the universities did not offer that course or major, in undergrad. There's no way that we can only admit from business analytics major, undergrad major, or statistics major. So, I really suggest that, I would like to share with students, when you apply for a program, the admission team are not looking for a reason to deny you. We are looking for a reason to admit you, right? We have an open mind. However, you just need to show a little bit more effort, to give enough reason for us to say like, hey, this candidate actually would like to pursue in this area, and then did decently. Of course, these programs are not like PhD program that they only admit 1 person each year. We a lot of the master's program have a relatively bigger cohort, like 100 people, or some of the programs in other school, they even admit 300 people. Or up to 500 people, right? They are looking for reason to admit you. They're not looking for really, really outstanding, top-notch candidate in every single area. If you are, congratulations, you can get into Harvard, right? But you have to show that you're excellent in some areas, right?
Yes, thank you so much, Gia. Such an encouraging answer, and I'm going to translate a bit for our participants in Indonesia. Jadi teman-teman kadang-kadang sudah waktu apply itu udah mungkin karena, aduh ini lulusannya Ibu Sri Mulyani pasti susah nih. Jangan berpikir seperti itu dulu. Seperti katanya Gia tadi, bahwa mereka berusaha untuk admit you. Jadi mau membuat kalian itu keterima gitu. Jadi gunakan like one-on-one opportunity untuk ngobrol, bagaimana bisa mengembangkan diri dalam waktu ini, masih banyak waktu untuk persiapan, bisa membentuk aplikasinya lebih kuat lagi supaya bisa keterima. Karena mungkin aja memang portofolionya udah bagus, tapi nulis aplikasinya yang nggak kencang gitu. Thank you so much for the answer, Gia. Maybe Julius, you wanna add some thoughts on that, how people can prepare for their application even when they do not really have with the diverse backgrounds for participants here. Thank you.
Okay, to add like some points to what Gia have said, actually, don't just be discouraged just because it is like it has very long list of requirements, because usually you get so overwhelmed in the start because like you need to prepare a lot of documents, a lot of personal letters as well. What can I say to you? It is tetap lakukan one by one. That's why I said start early, because like you always need some time to prepare, to tailor your resume, tailor your personal letter. And if you have any questions, if you have any doubts, jangan ragu-ragu untuk tanya teman, untuk tanya senior yang sudah berangkat sebelumnya, atau kalau idealnya sebenarnya ada teman yang lagi coba apply di tahun yang sama. It will boost your learning curve on how you create and draft your personal letter and CV, karena ada teman peer diskusinya dari start sampai nanti berangkat kuliah. Gitu.
Okay, thank you so much, Mr. Julius, for the answer. And I also remember you said people can ask you questions directly. So I think participants should leverage this. Karena kalau udah pernah nanya ke alumni itu yang udah pernah menanyakan. Jadi kalau kita mau kemana gitu ya, mau ke Roma, nanya jalan ke orang yang udah pernah ke sana, ya emang lebih pas gitu. Jadi please leverage his kindness of offering support for people who want to ask questions about how to apply to the University of Illinois Urbana-Champaign for GIS Business College. And we have okay, we have one person, Mbak Valentina. Mbak, please, yeah, you can ask your question directly to mention your name and also who you want to ask your question to. Thank you.
Thank you Mbak Sylvie. Terdengar ya teman-teman semua. Perkenalkan saya
Yes.
Valentina dari Alfai. Mungkin ingin bertanya menggunakan bahasa Indonesia, nanti biar lebih enak ya, nanti mungkin bisa ditranslate kepada Ibu Gia. Sebetulnya yang ingin saya tanyakan adalah seperti apa program yang dimiliki oleh GIS College of Business after graduate. Apakah juga GIS College of Business itu punya semacam kayak yang connecting with the industry, jadi teman-teman Indonesia yang sudah lulus dari GIS College itu punya semacam apa ya, punya semacam network lah seperti itu. Dan juga kan tadi disampaikan Kak Julius juga sudah bekerja ya di salah satu BUMN. Itu seperti apa sih Kak? Apakah Kakak memang sudah sebelumnya join dulu oleh company and then after graduate Kakak coming back to the company, atau seperti apa proses rekrutmennya? Mungkin kan juga teman-teman yang sedang saat ini bergabung ya dengan kita, ada 92 orang peserta juga pengen tahu life after graduate itu seperti apa. Thank you Kak Sylvia.
Thank you so much for the questions. One for Gia and one for Julius. For Gia in general, Valentina asked about, is there any specific support for student in connecting with different industries based on their specific interests in school? And I would add to that question also, I know, for example, in my university and several other MBA programs in the US, they have internship program in their first, or I don't know if in GIS in the second year, and how does that work to prepare them for the job market Thank you. And for Julius, you could answer Mbak Valentina questions regarding preparing with working with BUMN in Indonesia. Please, Gia first. Thank you.
Sure. So as I said, we offer experiential learning opportunities. Because most of our programs are 1 year to 1.5 years. So for finance program is 1.5 year, you could do a summer intern in the summer. For other programs, you basically you just get into school and then study for 1 year and then graduate. You don't really have a dedicated time to do internship. However, we provide the practicum or experiential learning opportunities that you can work with 4 or 5 other classmates as a group to help one of our corporate partners to solve their business problems. So they're going to leverage your talent, as a consultant, to give you the real business problem, give you real data, and then you can kind of communicate with them on weekly or bi-weekly basis about your project progress. And then in the end, you're going to present your finding, your proposal. So, our clients are ranging from large companies, medium-sized, nonprofit startups, based on, which industry you're interested in, which subject you're interested in. For example, we had a company like a Target, that's a big retailer, Asus, that's like a computer company, electronic company. We also have companies like China Petroleum, just a lot of and some like a nonprofit around Chicago areas as well. So definitely you will get opportunities to connect with industries and learn about those industry knowledge. And also for some of the programs, they invite industry kind of alums from different industry to really give you an overview about, what is business intelligence analyst? What's the day-to-day life as a business intelligence analyst? What's the day-to-day life as a product manager? What's the day-to-day life as a auditor? Things like that. So you will be able to connect with alums virtually or in person to learn about their experience in different industries. So I always say that in Keys College of Business, there will be, like professional events or cultural or team building events available, more than your time available. So you have to pick and choose which one is more suitable for your future needs. So definitely this is something that we offer. Because Keys College of Business, we are preparing you to be a professional, that work in the industry. We have a lot of those kind of opportunities for you to learn about the industry, connect with the professionals in the industry.
Thank you so much, Shia, for your answer. I'm going to explain a bit in Indonesia. Jadi teman-teman memang ada kesempatan untuk praktikum dan juga magang during musim panas, dan juga bisa langsung kerja dengan industri. Tadi beberapa contoh perusahaan minyak, lembaga swadaya masyarakat, NGOs, terus seperti perusahaan-perusahaan elektronik dan perusahaan seperti Target yang adalah misalnya kayak mataharinya Indo gitu ya. Jadi peluangnya banyak banget gitu, terutama Chicago adalah kota besar. Jadi jangan khawatir gitu ya. Mungkin Mas Julius mau menambahkan? Silahkan.
Iya, boleh. Jadi terkait yang Gia sampaikan tadi, sebenarnya we're always gonna have the career fair and visiting lectures. There are always guest lectures from professionals and top companies in the US. Jadi dari MSBA program sendiri, meskipun programnya cuma ada 2 semester, kemarin ada dari Deloitte, ada dari P&G juga. So there always be opportunities for you to connect with the professionals, with the industries. So don't worry. Jadi pasti ada platform, ada agenda yang dikhususkan buat connect, dan pastinya juga open up opportunities untuk cari internship atau full time positions gitu ya, kalau misal pengen bekerja di US. Terus moving on ke pertanyaan Kak Valentina tadi terkait scholarship. Jadi karena saya dapat employer scholarship juga. Saya udah kerja 4 tahun sebelumnya, dan waktu balik dari kuliah juga kembali ke company yang lama. Jadi sekarang kerja di Telkom, dari sebelum berangkat kuliah kerja di Telkom, sekarang juga kerja di Telkom lagi. Gitu. So I pretty much continue my old position.
Thank you so much. We have some question in the chat box, and thank you, Gia, for answering them directly. Do you wanna add to explanation you wrote in the chat about that?
Yeah, definitely. I know a lot of students have questions regarding this limited status admission, and I know that LPDP need unconditional offer to award the scholarship. I can share with you what we give out to students. As to explain the limited status. So basically, all the applicants who get limited admission will receive a explanation letter from our associate dean that the limited status due to language deficiency, is it a conditional offer? It is not a conditional offer. You are still considered to have fully met our admission requirements. Because the English placement test does not define if you can get into the program. It only defines what courses you're going to take in your first semester. In addition to other courses. So you're not going to be kicked out of the program if you fail the English placement test, because there's no pass and fail. So that's kind of the best way that we explain it. It's considered a degree requirement, not a condition of admission. So passing the English as a second language course, here, it's the same as passing any other courses in your upcoming master program. You have to pass the exam to graduate, but it's not but passing the exam is not a condition to be admitted. You are going to be fully admitted into the program, even under limited status. So I know the limited status word is kind of annoying, so it needs more explanation. However, we are happy to provide any document or any other additional explanation if LPDP comes back with additional questions. This is not a conditional offer. It's very different than the UK standard. Like, it's a conditional offer after you pass IELTS of 7.5, you are going to be fully admitted. No, you are fully admitted, even under limited status. Sylvia, did I explain it well?
Yes.
Yes.
I think it's really useful, and this is awesome actually, and I'm going to translate that in Indonesia. Jadi teman-teman, kalau sekolah yang lain itu pakai istilah conditional LOE, artinya mereka harus pas dulu TOEFL, terus pas dulu, apalagi GRE tadi sudah wave ya, pas dulu IELTS dan sebagainya. Tapi ini limited status ini enggak. Jadi kalaupun bahasa Inggrisnya masih belum mencapai, saya punya teman-teman yang semester pertamanya ngambil kelas bahasa Inggris seperti itu. Jadi ini hanya untuk mereview nanti pas masuk sekolah teman-teman ngambil kelas bahasa Inggris lagi atau enggak kayak gitu. Jadi kalau menurut saya ini sudah sangat dimudahkan ya. Bahasa Inggrisnya boleh, tadi ini nggak memenuhi standar sudah bisa dapat limited status LOE, dan dia juga bilang akan memberikan letter langsung ke LPDP jika dibutuhkan. Jadi please leverage this opportunity. Benar-benar gunakan kesempatan ini untuk apply ke sekolahnya dulu, supaya ketika apply ke LPDP bisa juga ditambahkan di aplikasinya buat bisa lebih kuat gitu. I would like to remind participants, 3 top people who provide their good questions will get merchandise from Alfai. Jadi 3 orang dengan pertanyaan terbaik akan mendapatkan merchandise. Jadi please ask your questions, because we don't have a lot of time left. One person is asking about PhD program. Mbak Widya Ekarani, would you like to ask your question directly? What specific information beside the requirements you would like to ask for? Bisa dalam bahasa Indonesia, Mbak Widya? Would you like to ask your question directly? Okay, if not, maybe I can ask directly to Gia for, I know in the mechanism, sometimes, for example, for me, when I apply for my PhD program, for my school, I have to find my advisor first, and then that influence how I get accepted into the school. And how does that work for the JACE Business School at Illinois? Is it just general application, or you have to have specific like research proposal first or other things? Thank you.
Yeah, so for our PhD program, that is all pretty competitive because it is a research base. We have to make sure that we have resource to prepare you for a research career, right, in the PhD program. So we're a little bit more cautious on who we're going to admit. So for PhD program, most of the programs will need you to submit your GRE or GMAT. So that's kind of like a requirement, especially if you're applying for finance or accounting. Let me see if I can pull some data. So I just had a discussion with actually some of our faculty members. Actually the PhD program number of applicants are going down in recent years. So if you are going to apply for PhD program, it might not be as hard as you thought. If you put together a decent application. So don't really, it is going to be, the admission rate, to be honest, is going to be much lower than the master's program. Because it is a research-based career. Our professors probably need to have like those one-on-one teaching relationship with you. So due to the capacity, it's not going to be that easy. However, it might not be that hard. So just try your best. You have to take a standardized exam, and then in the business programs, I would say it's less it's less important for you to really build very strong relationship with the professors beforehand. You do have to learn about different professors. You could in your statement of purpose, you can say like you're interested in which area, but you don't have, at least this is for Keys College of Business, so you don't have to identify your future advisor and then really build a good relationship with your advisor to apply for the PhD program, because that's business. The business PhD program is a little bit different. It's not based on who you're going to do research with. It's a little bit not important on that side, I would say. Just showcase the best of yourself, show good academic skill, passion on research, past experience on research, because you never know. There might be like, one professor that has some research project that need a PhD student. There might not be a professor that, that need a couple more each year. So you never know, just try your best. That's kind of my best advice. So our accounting and finance programs each year, they will admit like less than 5 people, less than 5 PhD students. Our business administration program each year, they will admit about like 15 to 20-ish PhD students.
Thank you so much. Yes, jadi translate in Indonesia sebenarnya justru tahun ini jumlah aplikannya lebih kurang, jadi mungkin lebih kurang kompetitif ya. Jadi silahkan apply saja. Dan tidak seperti di kampus saya, ternyata di Illinois boleh tidak secara spesifik harus menyebutkan nama profesornya. Jadi yang penting punya passion untuk riset dan aplikasinya kuat, monggo saja apply. Mbak Widya, ada yang mau ditanyakan langsung selain dari penjelasan dari Gia tadi? Widya, if you can unmute now, unmute. You wanna ask more questions directly to Gia?
No, I think that's all. Thank you so much.
Thank you. I think Gia is waiting for your application. So, start
Okay.
preparing. And we also have question regarding non-linear degree for bachelor and master. And thank you, Julius, for answering it. And I think Gia already explained about the online courses and classes people can take in preparation for to show their competency before applying. Jadi sudah bisa persiapan dulu untuk membentuk kompetensinya supaya kuat aplikasinya. We have one more question. I think this is going to be our last question from Sri. Or would you like to ask your question directly, Sri? Or if not, I can ask. Is there a specific like suggestion for someone with environmental or education background for the business like major, Gia?
So it really depends on what you want to do in the future, right? If you want to, be a manager or want to enter business field, for example, there are so many companies that are like really, put an emphasis on ESG, right? Sustainability, right? There are consulting companies that are interested in, hiring people with environmental background, and also business acumen. So you might want to take a management master, right, to enter those kind of industry. Education is the same, like, there are so many ed tech companies. If you want to be like a product manager, right, you can take our MSc in technology management to join a future ed tech company. But if you really want to continue education, right? We do have, like, although I'm from Keys College of Business, you are free to apply for other master's program. For example, I just put let's see, sorry, I just put a master's of education degree program information there as well. I know that they have they have different masters of education concentrations, education policy, education instructional technology, and things like that. I think they have a lot, and also environment. So the school, I think their Department of Environment. I think that's a department. They have masters, professional masters as well. So feel free to apply for their masters as well if you feel like you want to continue that route. We're not trying to convince everybody that business is the right fit for you, but if you're looking at your future career goal in the next 3 to 5 years, if you would like to be a business professional and leverage your undergrad experience, like in environmental education, right, political science, anything, right, you might want to pursue a business degree. And Sylvia, yeah, I know it's approaching to the end of the session. I would like to, really appreciate everybody's attendance. If anybody in our webinar would like to apply for our business program, accounting, business analytics, technology management, and management, we would love to extend a application fee waiver to everybody that are in the webinar. Unfortunately, I cannot speak about finance program, so I can't offer application fee waiver for finance. But if you're interested in accounting, business analytics, technology management, and management, we're happy to give you an application fee waiver code. So by attending the webinar, you're earning $90. And then Sylvia,
Thank
if you
you
want to
so
share
much.
the registration list, I'll be able to send an email with a unique application fee waiver code to everyone.
Yes, thank you so much, Gia. I think this is, oh my goodness. I remember when I was applying to school and how much money it took to apply so many different schools, and $90 is not a small money. So I just posted again the registration form. Please fill it out, because by filling it out, the registration form, you're eligible for the waiver. Thank you so much for the accounting and other schools that we are going to email you. So thank you so much, Gia, for that. We don't have much time. I would like to thank you for, I would like also to remind participants, we actually have 4 people, ada 4 orang yang akan mendapatkan merchandise dari Almade Dwi Setiawadi Mustika to give the closing thoughts. There are a lot of questions. I'm really sorry for this short time, and to close the session, please, Dr. Made, to share your thoughts and encouragement for the participant. Thank you.
All right. Halo.
Ya, silahkan Pak Made.
Oke, terima kasih Kak Sylvia for the time. Eh, sangat menarik menyimak diskusi dari tadi, luar biasa juga antusiasme dari teman-teman. Dan izin mungkin di bagian akhir ini saya akan sedikit sharing terkait dengan story saya menjadi salah satu awardee beasiswa LPDP. Jadi mungkin saya bukan pastinya bukan penerima beasiswa untuk kuliah ke Amerika, tapi saya menjadi salah satu penerima beasiswa khusus dari LPDP, bukan LPDP reguler, tapi yang saya terima adalah LPDP Budi DN, jadi beasiswa unggulan dosen Indonesia. Awalnya di tahun 2016, ketika itu kalau mendengar tentang beasiswa LPDP itu kan sudah banyak sekali yang informasi yang beredar tentang LPDP itu seperti apa. Dan kalau dulu LPDP itu terkenal agak susah untuk dapatnya gitu. Jadi sama sekali saya tidak terpikir untuk menjadi salah satu penerima beasiswa LPDP. Karena profesi saya sebagai seorang dosen, saya malah berfokus ketika itu untuk mencoba apply beasiswa yang dikeluarkan oleh Kemendikbud. Waktu itu namanya BPPDN. Nah, di tahun 2016 ternyata BPPDN itu di stop dan ada program beasiswa baru dari LPDP ketika itu yang pertama kali beasiswa unggulan untuk dosen Indonesia. Nah, tertariklah saya untuk mencoba karena ini menjadi salah satu beasiswa jalur khusus begitu, dikhususkan untuk dosen Indonesia. Saya coba apply di awal Januari, kemudian singkat cerita saya cari universitasnya dulu apa tujuan saya. Universitas yang tuju adalah Universitas Pajajaran ketika itu, karena ada di list universitas yang di listnya LPDP itu ada Universitas Pajajaran. Jadi saya targetkan untuk bisa diterima di Universitas Pajajaran. Singkat cerita saya lengkapi semua persyaratan yang diminta untuk apply beasiswa LPDP Budi DN, dan yang menjadi cerita menarik adalah ketika itu pengumuman penerima beasiswa belum dirilis, tapi perkuliahan harus sudah mulai. Jadi karena mungkin itu first project dari LPDP untuk Budi DN, sehingga ada time lag yang cukup membuat saya deg-degan ketika itu. Kuliah sudah mulai, biaya pendidikan harus saya talangi dulu, dan ketika itu masih 50-50, apakah keterima LPDP atau enggak gitu. Jadi saya jalan dulu, dan syukurlah akhirnya saya keterima untuk menjadi salah satu penerima beasiswa LPDP untuk skema Budi DN. Dan 100% dijamin oleh LPDP bahwa apa yang sudah kita bayarkan di awal itu akan dikembalikan. Jadi memang totally 100% biaya pendidikan itu dibiayai oleh LPDP. Nah, kemudian selama proses perkuliahan berjalan, LPDP sangat konsisten untuk dapat mensupport pendidikan saya dari biaya pendidikan at cost. Kemudian di setiap bulannya ada biaya hidup yang memang diberikan oleh LPDP dan itu tidak pernah terlambat. Jadi luar biasa sekali support dari LPDP. Dan akhirnya kena pandemi, saya masuk di 2016, sebenarnya penerimaan beasiswa saya habis di 2020, karena 3 tahun plus 1. Tapi karena ada pandemi, ada satu kebijakan dari LPDP yang sangat saya syukuri, yaitu ada perpanjangan untuk mahasiswa terdampak COVID-19. Sehingga saya menerima tambahan 1 semester lagi beasiswa dari LPDP. Baik itu biaya pendidikan maupun biaya hidup. Begitu, sorry. Jadi setelah saya lulus, sebenarnya ada satu hal yang agak saya sesalkan karena saya tidak dapat menikmati 3 fasilitas yang sebenarnya memang disiapkan oleh LPDP untuk awardee-nya. Fasilitas yang tidak sempat saya nikmati adalah yang pertama, pembiayaan mengikuti conference ke luar negeri. Jadi LPDP itu punya satu pembiayaan yang diberikan kepada awardee yang akan mengikuti conference ke luar negeri. Kemudian yang kedua adalah pembiayaan untuk international publication. Itu tidak sempat saya nikmati karena masa penerimaan beasiswa saya sudah habis, sehingga saya tidak bisa mengajukan bantuan untuk international publication. Nah, yang bisa saya nikmati ketika itu adalah bantuan tugas akhir penelitian disertasi. Dan itu memang dibiayai oleh LPDP. Jadi sebenarnya kesimpulan yang ingin saya sampaikan kepada teman-teman, khususnya mahasiswa yang saat ini sedang kuliah S1 dan ada rencana untuk melanjutkan kuliah master degree atau doctoral degree, peluang untuk mendapatkan beasiswa dan kuliah overseas itu sangat terbuka lebar. Banyak sekali lembaga yang menawarkan beasiswa dan seoptimal mungkin mohon dimanfaatkan untuk adik-adik karena terutama untuk kuliah overseas banyak sekali experience yang tentunya akan adik-adik dapatkan dan tadi sudah dibagikan juga experience-nya oleh para pembicara kita, terutama untuk adik-adik di Udayana karena saya bertugas di Udayana. Saya himbau setelah nanti lulus S1, ketika masih ada kesempatan, lanjutkan kuliah ke S2, S3, dan pilih, kalau memungkinkan pilih untuk kuliah ke luar negeri. Tapi satu pesan saya, ketika nanti kuliah ke luar negeri, tumbuhkan responsibility-nya, tanggung jawab adik-adik sebagai warga negara Indonesia yang kuliah ke luar negeri, kemudian mendapat ilmu dari luar negeri, dan kembalilah ke Indonesia untuk dapat bersama-sama membangun. Mungkin itu saja yang dapat saya sampaikan. Terima kasih untuk kesempatannya bergabung di acara yang sangat luar biasa ini. Kak Sylvia, silakan.
That's all, Pak Made, and